Shore, and our Medal of Arts awardees, Wolf Kahn, Pat Steer, Nick Cave, and Imran Qureshi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for the third biennial Department of State Medal of Arts ceremony. My name is Virginia Shore. I am the acting director and curator of Art and Embassies. Today, we are here to honor 6 artists for their passion, vision, and enduring belief that art can be transformative and an agent for positive change. We thank you for your contributions to cultural diplomacy. Wolf Kahn, Pat Steer, Nick Cave, Imran Qureshi, Jenny Holzer, and Rachel Whitereed. Regrettably, Jenny and Rachel could not be with us today. Past awardee Kiki Smith will be graciously accepting the medal on their behalf. I've had the privilege and opportunity to serve at Art and Embassies over the past 20 years, but Art and Embassies has been around a lot longer. Over 55 years with fascinating origins that connect back to Nelson Rockefeller in the early 50s and the founding of the International Committee at the Museum of Modern Art. The Art and Embassies project was a MoMA endeavor. Until President Kennedy, as one of his final acts, acknowledged the importance of the visual arts in all our embassies worldwide. In his words, both Roosevelt and Lincoln understood that the life of the arts, far from being an interruption, a distraction in the life of a nation, is very close to the center of a nation's purpose and is a test of the quality of a nation's civilization. Art is the great unifying and humanizing experience. Art and Embassies began as a lending program with a staff of 2. Over the past 15 years, we have furthered the cultural ambitions of the program, expanding the mission to connect culturally by including artists from the host country, in addition to the artists from the States. Humanizing and energizing our new embassies and consulates with permanent collections, commissioning site-specific works, initiating artist exchanges globally and domestically, and continually fostering new partnerships with artists, museums, galleries, universities, both domestically and abroad. Today, Art and Embassies engages over 20,000 artists in 189 countries with over 60 projects a year. Your work and your commitment, your dedication and support enable us to continue pushing boundaries and to find innovative ways to connect with people around the world. Through culture, we introduce ideas. Through art, we can change the narrative. It is with great pleasure to introduce you to our host, a man who works hard every day to make the world a better place, Deputy Secretary Antony Blinken.
Well, thank you all very, very much. Good afternoon. It is an honor and a pleasure to welcome you to the State Department. This is, I believe, one of the last events that I'll have the pleasure of joining in this extraordinary room, the Benjamin Franklin Room, as the Deputy Secretary. In fact, at this point in the administration, I'm happy to go wherever anyone will have me, so I thank you. But I can't imagine a more beautiful, inspirational, or important cause to bring us together than celebrating the power of art and the work of some extraordinarily talented artists. And I also can't imagine a room that's more fitting for this occasion. Now, as many of you know, Ben Franklin, whose portrait graces the room's grand fireplace, was our nation's first diplomat. He authored America's very first treaty. He charted the Gulf Stream. He pioneered the study of electricity. He helped forge a new ethos of self-government, almost none of which he did sober. But long before he did all that, he actually got his start in life as a printer's apprentice, at a time when printing was not only a tool of communication, but also an expression of art. He also tried his hand at verse, prompting Herman Melville at the time to remark that Franklin was everything but a poet. In spite of this minor character flaw, Franklin instinctively knew the value of building cultural, indeed even emotional, bridges between people and between nations. Today, that early character of American diplomacy is exquisitely realized through art and embassies, which humanizes and enriches our diplomatic presences abroad, breaking through cultural, linguistic, even political barriers in ways that often no policy can do. I can't tell you how many times in my own travels around the world an ambassador has described to me how a piece of art in their embassy, in their residence, proved critical in helping broach a difficult subject, repair a frayed relationship, give courage to an embattled partner. With hope and with heart, your work brings diplomacy alive every day in every corner of the world. Now, it's going to be my privilege to honor the work of the artists before you today, but just before I do that, I want to pay a special tribute to a person who's been a good friend of mine ever since I've been in Washington, but beyond that has done such extraordinary work to bring the very best of our country to every corner of the planet, and in more ways than people can know and imagine, has helped show the very, very best of America, and that's Virginia Shore. Virginia, this is the essence of diplomacy in the finest sense of the word, and the country should be grateful for Virginia's service these past several decades. Now, let me start by recognizing Wolf Kahn, who is this year's recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Wolf's entire life is a testament to involvement and giving back. He fled Nazi Germany at the age of 12 and came to the United States. 4 years later, at the age of 17, he joined the Navy. Through the GI Bill, he studied painting in the studio of a renowned teacher and abstract expressionist painter, Hans Hofmann. And my father was privileged to be a friend of Hans Hofmann many years ago, so it's particularly wonderful to make that connection. Wolf helped establish the Hansa Gallery, one of the legendary artist-run cooperatives in downtown Manhattan, known as the 10th Street Galleries. One of Art and Embassy's longest-standing partners, Wolf has shared commitment to cultural diplomacy, supporting its mission with unrivaled generosity and loaning art to countless ambassadorial residences around the world. Thank you for your extraordinary contributions.
I think I'm the longest functioning member of Art and Embassy because the lady, first of all, because I'm the oldest, and then because I was a good friend with Jane Lawrence, who started the Art and Embassy program way back. And just lately, I got 2 paintings back from some embassy. I don't know which.
You see, you get them back. It's pretty good.
Right.
Thank you.
Those paintings, I said, gee, I used to be a good painter.
Thank you. Pat Steer was the first artist that Art and Embassies commissioned to create a work for a brand new embassy, and it was for Embassy Moscow. Pat has roots in Russia. She created a series of 5 monumental waterfalls in her signature style of dripped, splashed, and poured paint. Installed in the embassy entrance, they communicate to every visitor the value we place in our diplomacy and democracy on free expression through art. Nick Cave is best known for his sound suits, wearable sculptures based on the human form and made up of an assortment of materials, including twigs, beads, buttons, sequins, and fur. So remarkably full of energy, it's easy to forget that the first sound suit was created in 1992 in reaction to the Rodney King beating in Los Angeles. When worn, a sound suit fully conceals the body. It obscures race, gender, class. When performed, it becomes a costume, a musical instrument, a vehicle for empowerment. With Art and Embassies, Nick has mentored students, collaborated with the Duke Ellington School, contributed to projects from Port-au-Prince to Dakar. Imran Qureshi is a master of the art miniature, channeling the painting style of Mughal courts in the late 16th century to comment on complex political issues and everyday life in Pakistan. Following the bombings in his native Lahore, he introduced blood-red paint into his palette in works that contrast violence with natural beauty. And although the works stem from violence, they also point to new beginnings and hope for the future. The text-based art of Jenny Holzer appears in unexpected places, on billboards, stone benches, parking meters, light projections. Her work makes us stop and think for ourselves, question our assumptions, challenge the intravenous stream of information that bombards us every day. And we need that more than ever. Rachel Wright-Reed makes solid the spaces to each and every one of you. Congratulations. And thank you for your spirit, for your energy, for your partnership. You bring luster and life to a mission that defines what is our common calling, and that's diplomacy. And so it's now my great privilege to turn the program back to Virginia and then to proceed to the awards. Thank you very much.
Wolf Kahn. Wolf is a legend around the Art and Embassies office. He's been lending, as he just mentioned, to Art and Embassies since the 1970s and is always willing to participate, even when the embassies are in places that are troubled. I remember one of my first days at Art and Embassies when a truck pulled up to the loading dock in the basement of this building, filled with Wolf's paintings. Those paintings were with us for over a decade and traveled around the world. When a painting returned from one show, it could be sent to another, from Baghdad to Copenhagen to Khartoum to Bogota to Turkmenistan, and that's only a few. Thank you, Wolf.
Let's see if we can do this.
Pat Steer, although it may be surprising now, the Moscow paintings were initially controversial. Some of the embassy staff was unsettled by them. In fact, we were asked to hold a town hall meeting to discuss them. Delighted to learn of the controversy, saying, "Thank God, my work is still relevant." She was pleased that the work struck such a deep emotional chord. Thank you, Pat. Nick Cave. The project that stands out for me is the Site-Specific Commission for the U.S. Embassy in Dakar. Nick accompanied me to Dakar to a site visit and to meet the embassy team and numerous local artists. It was quite a journey, and Nick's first trip to Africa. After the second day of visiting dozens of studios, galleries, museums, and the fabric market, it became clear that the work was evolving to something that would connect to the people of Dakar, to the people of Senegal, beyond the materials. Nick felt strongly about including the work of Senegalese artists in his commission, ultimately inviting 8 of the artists we visited to contribute to the piece. A massive net-like work engulfs the viewer. Thank you, Nick. Imran Qureshi. Initially, we commissioned Imran to create a site-specific work for the new embassy in Baghdad. From floor to wall to canvas, this work had many lives. Overcoming numerous hurdles, Imran persevered, and the commission was installed in fall of 2016. Paralleling philosophies, Imran has confirmed his views on the importance of an in-country artist being included in these new buildings. The collection provided an opportunity for his work to represent Pakistan in an important place that each day sees a diverse audience, not only visitors from Pakistan, but from all over the world, improving communication between our two countries and helping to foster mutual understanding and democratic ideals. Thank you, Imran. For Jenny Holzer. Over the past 3 to 4 years, Jenny has graciously worked with us and the London Embassy team on numerous concepts, many concepts. Worked and continues to work with us on ideas. Ultimately, the project evolved into a collaboration. Trying to connect with the host country, we did a general call out for new or historic quotes in the US and the UK. Ultimately, the team selected 3 quotes, one by Ralph Waldo Emerson, one by Robert Kennedy, and one by Her Majesty the Queen. Since Jenny isn't here today, I'm going to wait after I discuss Rachel's work to ask Kiki to come to the stage. Rachel White-Reed. Rachel's commission will envelop the exterior and interior entry to the consular section of our new embassy in London. In response to our request to consider parallels between our countries, Rachel created a wall sculpture of the average American or UK home one would see lining the streets in any suburban area in either country. Art and Embassies does collaborations, for example, with Rachel and Imran, both of whom are leading artists in their respective countries, to represent our goal of bringing together US artists and host country artists in a true model of cross-cultural exchange. Thank you, Jenny and Kiki. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Kiki, for accepting these medals on their behalf. A few of the artists are going to say a few words. Pat Steer, Imran, and Nick.
I want to tell you that art is the most important thing we have. When invading armies want to destroy a culture, they destroy the museum first, and it's not because they hate art, it's because they hate the culture. When anthropologists dig up a culture, they dig up art and artifacts. That's what we have that we leave behind. And that's how we're read, how our culture is read, and what we have, how we identify ourselves, whether we know it or not, and how we're identified. And so I want to ask you all to keep art safe and happy, poetry happy, and keep the world safe for poetry.
Hi, everyone. You know, art, I've always used art as a form of diplomacy. It's just part of the responsibility that I must do. Art will always be this vehicle for change for me. So it's, you know, so I'm completely committed to this as an activist, as a visionary, as a leader. In Virginia, sure, it's been amazing working with you, and I look forward to working with you again, and thank you.
I would like to say thanks to State Department for considering my name and giving this great positive message that I'm here at this platform. I think you see Pakistan through the eye of media usually, and most of the people in the West. And I think there is another side of Pakistan because of which I'm here at this platform. Thank you.
Congratulations to you all. I would like to acknowledge Ambassador Moser and Marjorie Phillips from OBO. And the Art and Embassies team, if everybody could stand for all their hard work and dedication in making everything happen every day. Woo! Thank you all. Thank you to the artists. Thank you, Deputy Secretary Blinken, for joining us today. In closing, let's welcome back the amazing trio for one final song. Woo!
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Ooh. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board them. There's room for all of the loved and lost.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.